Shocking news. The FBI is questioning whether or not the assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life was staged. There's been question, could it have been an actual bullet that hit him, or could it just been a sharp object? So that's what's the latest news concerning the assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life. But before we get started with this demonstration, let me read my copyright disclaimer, and we're going to jump down the rabbit hole. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. What that means is that everything that you hear in this demonstration is for entertainment and educational purposes only. It's all allegedly. Salute Positive Vibes. Salute Miss Groovy. Salute Leslie. Salute to the chat. Salute to all my moderators. Salute to the replay gang. Salute to you, him, and her. Salute to all my new subscribers all over the world. Salute to everyone. Drop a one. And since it happened, I've had a handful of y'all that kept saying it was staged. It was a play. He really didn't get hit in the ear. He really didn't get powwow. Salute, Mel. So we're going to backtrack it. Y'all know I'm famous for backtracking stuff. Now, in the beginning, and even now, I still feel like it wasn't staged. Salute, Jacqueline. Salute, Jacqueline. Appreciate you for pulling up, Jacqueline. Salute, Suntan. Salute, Suntan. Drop a one. Drop a one if you think the assassination attempt on Donald Trump was staged, was faked. Drop a one. Drop a two if you think that it was real. Salute, Sharon. Salute, Sharon. Positive, drop the one. And I've had a few of y'all, Mel dropped the one. I had a few of y'all keep challenging me on it. Shank, I'm telling you, it's staged. Shank, I'm telling you, it's fake. So we're going to find out. We're going to chop it up. I mean, salute, Monica. Salute, Monica. Whether it was Trump that staged it, whether Trump was behind it, one thing's for sure. We definitely know somebody was behind it. Now, whether it was the lone shooter, whether it was him, or whether Jacqueline dropped the two, whether it was some folks behind him. Salute, James. James says, the guy on the roof, is he alive? Well, allegedly, he's no longer alive. Allegedly. But, you know, you had a lot of different people that weighed in on it, and some people are saying that he isn't alive because if y'all remember, when it first happened, they were saying that it was a completely different dude. Do y'all remember that? Salute, Pivot Your Health. Salute, Pivot Your Health. Y'all remember when it first happened, they were saying they had a picture of a completely different person. So, you know, I've been doing some homework, you know, last couple of days. Salute, Precious. Salute, Precious. I miss you too, Precious. I'm doing fine, Precious. Appreciate you for pulling up, Precious. But as I said, you know, they were saying that it was another guy.
His first visit is free.
So we have recovered a drone.
So what we're going to do is let's just jump straight into the latest update. It's a few clips that I'm going to be showing. Let's just jump straight into it, and then we'll chop it up.
You act like you wanted to fill us in on that. Fill us in.
So we have recovered a drone that the shooter appears to have used. It's being exploited and analyzed by the FBI lab. The drone was recovered in his vehicle. So at the time of the shooting, the drone was in his vehicle with the controller. In addition, our investigation has uncovered.
Do you know what time of day he flew it, and if he flew it on the day of the shot?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So in addition, it appears that around 3:50 p.m., 4 o'clock in that window, on the day of the shooting, that the shooter was flying the drone around the area.
2 hours.
About 11 minutes. I want to be clear, but when I say the area, not over the stage and that part of the area itself, but I would say about 200 yards, give or take, away from that. We think, but we do not know. So again, this is one of these things that's qualified because of our ongoing review, that he was live streaming, viewing the footage from that, again, about 11 minutes in around the 3:50, 4 o'clock p.m. range.
2 hours before, he's flying a drone in the vicinity of the route.
About 200 yards away, yes.
Okay, that's important information. What about the bombs that we put about in the shooter's car?
So again, the FBI lab is exploiting those explosive devices.
Yep.
There were, we've recovered 3 devices, 2 in his vehicle and 1 back in his residence.
Are these what you would call, your experts would call sophisticated operations, or this when we? I don't know. That's what I've been told by people who have some understanding of this area.
Yeah, I think it's. We've seen more sophisticated and less. I would say these are relatively, again, keyword relatively crude devices themselves, but they did have the ability to be detonated remotely. And so to that point, in addition to the 2 devices that we recovered out of his vehicle, there were receivers for those 2 explosive devices with the devices, and then on the shooter himself, when he was killed by law enforcement, he had a
So as of today, now this was released 3 hours ago. So as of today, they're saying that the person that attempted to take Donald Trump's life, they're saying that he's deceased.
that are with him. Now, I do want to add one important point here, is that at the moment, it looks to us, again, ongoing review, and I can't say that too many times, at a moment, it looks like because of the on-off position on the receivers, that if he had tried to detonate those devices from the roof, it would not have worked, but that doesn't mean the explosives weren't dangerous.
Butler, Pennsylvania, I read something about a ladder. He used a ladder to get up on that roof, and that the ladder was found somewhere a distance away. Is that true?
So we do know that he purchased a ladder. I think, if I recall correctly, it was about a 5-foot tall type of ladder. But importantly, we did not find the ladder at the scene. So it's not clear that he used the ladder to get on top of the roof.
So you don't think
we're
the
still
ladder...
digging into all that, things related to the ladder.
Well, how did he get on the roof? Now there's a ladder that comes into question. Now, according to the FBI, they know that he did buy the ladder, but now they're saying they didn't find a ladder. Well, how did he get on the roof?
Ladder and his access to the roof, but he did buy a ladder, but the ladder was not found at the scene.
The ladder didn't have any feet on it. It didn't walk off.
Right.
How many shots did the shooter fire?
Well, we know that he fired at least 8 because we recovered 8 cartridges on the roof.
So they know that he fired at least 8 shots. They're saying that they know that he fired at least 8.
Were you able to determine whether the shooter took the gun up with him when he climbed up to the top of the roof, or was it already placed there somewhere?
So that is something that we're drilling into right now that we don't know the answer to yet. I can tell you, which may be relevant though to your question, that, and I don't think this has been reported yet.
Critical Rick says there's video of a 12-inch ladder against the building he climbed on. Salute Londa, salute James. It's a orange ladder.
That the weapon had a collapsible stock, which could explain why it might have been less easy for people to observe. You know, because one of the things that we're finding is people have observed him. The first people to observe him with the weapon were when he.
My correction, 12 foot. Ladder or not, he was spotted by the supporters, the people that was out there. He was spotted. You can't get around that.
Was already on the roof, and we haven't yet.
Salute Sabrina. Salute Sabrina. Appreciate that, Douglas and Critical Rick. 12 foot, not inch. Appreciate that correction, y'all. Appreciate that.
Found anybody with firsthand observation of him with the weapon walking around beforehand. So that doesn't mean he wasn't, obviously, but the collapsible stock is potentially a very significant feature that might be relevant to that.
You mentioned about 2 hours before the incident that he'd had a drone and he was using a drone. Instead of me putting words in your mouth, just tell me how you discovered the drone, how you discovered the time, and how you discovered. If you can describe what he would have been observing with the drone and how you determined that, please.
So this is something that's very much ongoing right now. We're going back and forth with our lab as they continue to do work on it. What I would say is the drone was in his car. As I said, we've been able to, by exploiting the drone, determine its use and flight paths. There were no pictures or videos on the drone of the day of the rally, for example, but we have been able to reverse engineer the flight path of the drone from the day of the rally, and that's how we know that for about 11 minutes, from I think it's around 3:50 p.m. to 4 p.m., somewhere in that range, he was flying the drone, and we have the flight path. It's about 200 yards away from where former President Trump would ultimately be speaking.
Salute Michelle. Salute Michelle. Y'all didn't. Let me backtrack this, y'all. Let me backtrack this. Salute Brandon. Brandon says, didn't they say 5 foot originally? Let's backtrack this, y'all. I want to know more about this drone. Let's find out about this drone.
How you discovered, if you can describe what he would have been observing with the drone and how you determined that, please.
So this is something that is very much ongoing right now. We're going back and forth with our lab as they continue to do work on it. What I would say is the drone was in his car. As I said, we've been able to, by exploiting the drone, determine its use and flight paths. There were no pictures or videos on the drone of the day of the rally, for example, but we have been able to reverse engineer the flight path of the drone from the day of the rally, and that's how we know that for about 11 minutes, from I think it's around 3:50 p.m. to 4 p.m., somewhere in that range, he was flying the drone, and we have the flight.
What time? Because they said for 11 minutes. What was it? 11:50-ish towards 4 p.m. He was flying the drone. So what time did Trump begin the rally? What time did they begin the rally? Randall says, I don't put anything past America. Douglas says, hope all is well with Sabrina. So he was flying a drone around for 11 minutes and the Secret Services didn't pick up on that for 11 minutes?
It's about 200 yards away from where former President Trump would ultimately be speaking.
Come on, y'all. You can't make this up. Mel says, so nobody saw him approaching the building with the ladder. Come on, something ain't right. And y'all better not roast me about me singing either. But something ain't right, y'all.
And so that would have primarily given him a vantage point. I don't think how to describe this. If the former president's podium is that way,
Yeah.
the drone would be over here looking, say 200 yards again off this way, looking back. So it would have shown the shooter, we think, again, we're still doing more work on this. I really want to qualify what I'm saying, but I'm trying to be transparent and lean in here. We think it would have shown him kind of what would have been behind him.
But when you say behind him, behind the shooter.
Correct. Like in other words, almost like giving him a rear view mirror of the scene behind him, except again, he wasn't flying it overhead while he was later back for the assassination.
But he would have had, with the drone, he would have been able to also assess kind of, because the stage I assume was already set, he would have been able to assess that angle with rooftop as well, forward and backward, I assume.
Well, certainly going towards the podium. Again, we're still trying to figure out exactly what he saw, because we're having to, in effect, because there's no recording of what he saw during those 11 minutes, you know, our hypothesis at this point, the experts think he would have been live streaming it. And so we're trying to, in effect, say, okay, well, if this was the flight pattern, given these capabilities of the drone, what would you have seen? What could you have seen for those 11 minutes? And again, it wasn't over the stage or the kind of the hub of the rally. It's about 200 yards away, but it looks like it would have been looking, let's say, you know, a length of a football field or so, more, you know, kind of towards the podium.
Great, thank you, Mr.
How many separate times was the shooter on the premises?
So again, with the caveat that we're continuing to do work on it, we believe that the first time he traveled to the grounds was, I think, a week before. He spent roughly 20 minutes there. Then he went to the grounds again on the morning of the event, it appears, for about 70 minutes, I think. But again, I qualify that. I'd have to go back and look to be sure of that part.
So he been casing the joint, and no one detected him. All this casing that my man done, and nobody detected him. And when the individuals did detect him, and they was notifying the Secret Services still didn't do nothing.
And then he came back in the afternoon, so that would be, I guess, the third time for good. But that included things like this drone activity we just talked about. It does appear fairly clear that he was interested in public figures, kind of more broadly, and I think this is important, that starting somewhere around July 6th or so, he became very focused on former President Trump and this rally. And so one of the things that I can share here today that has not been shared yet is that we've just in the last couple of days found that from our review, to your point about devices, analysis of a laptop that the investigation ties to the shooter reveals that on July 6th, he did a Google search for, quote, how far away was Oswald from Kennedy?
Wow. So he definitely has been doing, well, he was doing his homework. He definitely was doing his homework. I still don't believe that he acted alone. Somebody behind the scenes, somebody, maybe more than just one person behind the scenes. I don't believe that he acted alone. I don't believe he was able to pull off this by himself. What do y'all think? Drop a 1 if y'all think he had help. Drop a 2 if y'all think he acted alone.
And so that's a search that obviously is significant in terms of his state of mind. And that is the same day that it appears that he registered for the Butler rally. So far, underline, so far, we have not found any evidence of any accomplices or co-conspirators, foreign or domestic.
And you're using geolocation data to see if his cell phone was near another cell phone, I presume?
Right, we're doing lots of different kinds of
That's how you know it's a play. Precious Jones says government help. Salute, Sages. That's how you know it's a play. Y'all found out all these other things, but you couldn't find out who was helping him. Randall says he had help. It was planned. James says, one, the sniper didn't see all this happening. Kitty Kit, can you see me? Let's come back.
Your analysis, geolocation stuff, looking at his accounts, he from everything we've seen, which is consistent with what we've learned in interviews, a lot of people describe him as a loner. That does kind of fit with what we're seeing in his devices. His list of contacts, for example, is very short, compared to what you would normally see from most people. So it doesn't appear to be a whole lot of interaction between him, face to face or digital with a lot of people.
Randall says the young man didn't know he was going to die, though. They kept that information from him. I'm gonna need y'all help with this. And we're gonna go to another clip as well, but y'all have to help me with this. What's going on? Let me jump to the chat. What's going on? Do you still, James says the gunman was a crash dummy. Now, James and everybody else, help me out with this. Help me out with this. Brandon says, what else was in his car? Why was he planning on blowing it up? Positive says, please no false information in the chat. Kitty says, they are in a jam. They are falling apart. I'll tell you what I know. Do y'all still think, do y'all still think Trump is behind this, allegedly? Now, maybe it was a sharp object that maybe, hit his ear. I'm still on it being an assassination attempt, and I'm still on that, of course, Trump wasn't behind it. Positive says, yes, Trump knew about this. You think so, Positive Vibes? Drop a one. Drop a one if y'all agree with Positive Vibes. Drop a one if y'all think Trump knew about this. Drop a two if y'all think if he didn't know about this. Because if he knew about this, Bird Doug says, how would Trump knew? Right. And I want us to stay there. I want us to stay there. Douglas dropped the one. Salute legit money. I thought it was a play as soon as it happened. Legit money says he thought it was a play. Florida Queen, okay, we got some ones coming in. Sagitt says, nah, I ain't sure Trump knew about all this. Kitty said, Big Bird Doug dropped the two. Precious Jones and Florida Queen dropped the one. Kitty says they set him up. They taught him he had help, and no, it's Obama and Democratic. No way. Brandon says, haha, no, his head was going to be gone if he didn't turn. Michelle dropped the one. I'm just not ready, and I could be wrong, but I'm just not sold on Trump knew this. Okay. Polly Pocket. Peace, Polly Pocket. Peace, Polly Pocket. Let me see what this is.
We have recovered a drone.
Okay, I already got this. Do y'all think that it could have been any old sharp object? Because even they had a diagram where they showed the actual bullet coming towards Trump. Are y'all buying that? Douglas says, to me, it comes down to his reaction. What about the reaction? He had brain aneurysm. What about the reaction, Douglas? Do y'all think that his reaction was maybe off? What do y'all think? I still don't think it's fake. Ryder says that man has so many former associates that are enemies now, rich criminals too.
So that would have primarily given him advantage
Okay, I grabbed a little something, y'all, that's new.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Director Ray, for being.
All right, let's tap into this, y'all, and we're going to come back. Let's tap into this, and we're going to come back.
How many shots did the shooter fire?
Well, we know that he fired at least 8 because we recovered 8 cartridges on the roof.
Okay, and are all the cartridges and the unspent bullets, have they been, you know how many there are, accounted for all of those?
We,
So I assume, yeah.
we believe we have. We believe we have. Again, there was lots of work still ongoing, but yes, we believe we have accounted.
And did the recovered shells, the cartridges, match the shooter's rifle?
My recollection is yes.
And you conducted analysis that confirms that?
Well, we work with ATF, but yes, so some of the work has been divided up. But.
And how many shells, casings were recovered from the location of the counter snipers?
Make sure y'all hit the like button. We got 450 people watching with only 24 likes. Make sure y'all hit the like button for me. Appreciate it. Hit the like for me. Get my likes up.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the last part.
From the counter snipers location.
That I don't have the answer, at least here at my fingertips.
Okay. Did the blood and tissue pattern of the shooter, did it match the stories or the witness testimony that you've heard so far?
Can you, I'm not sure I'm following the question.
Well, I assume you've interviewed the counter snipers, you have that evidence, and other witnesses describing the kill of the shooter. And I'm wondering if the blood and tissue and brain matter is consistent with the testimony that you're receiving. In other words, is the physical...
In terms of the manner of death?
Exactly. Is the physical evidence consistent with where the shot from the counter sniper took place?
Yeah, so the autopsy is being handled by, as is not unusual, the state authorities. My understanding is thus far, and I don't think it's fully complete, which is not, again, not totally unusual, but so far nothing remarkable on that front.
That's from the body itself, but from actually the scene where the shooter was found, is everything consistent with the testimony, the physical evidence at the scene? Is that consistent with the testimony you've seen, that you've heard so far?
So far, yes. Again, ongoing investigation.
Were you able to determine whether the shooter took the gun up with him when he climbed up to the top of the roof, or was it already placed there somewhere?
So that is something that we're drilling into right now that we don't know the answer to yet. I can tell you, which may be relevant though to your question, that, and I don't think this has been reported yet, that the weapon had a collapsible stock, which could explain why it might have been less easy for people to observe. You know, because one of the things that we're finding is people have observed him, the first people to observe him with the weapon were when he was already on the roof, and we haven't yet found anybody with first-hand observation of him with the weapon walking around beforehand. So that doesn't mean he wasn't, obviously, but the collapsible stock is potentially a very significant feature that might be relevant to that.
Bird Dog says the Hun was passed through the window. Bird Dog says the Pow Pow was passed through the window.
Did he have a scope?
I believe so, but I just, as I sit here right now, I don't remember.
Okay. You mentioned about 2 hours before the incident that...
Over 500 people watching with only 45 likes. Jay says the math ain't mathing. Come on, y'all. Y'all know how we do over here. Get them likes up. We got over 500 people watching. We should have at least 250 likes. Come on, y'all. Show Shank Rock some love.
That he'd had a drone, and he was using a drone. Instead of me putting words in your mouth, just tell me how you discovered the drone, how you discovered the time, and how you discovered, if you can describe what he would have been observing with the drone and how you determined that.
So this is something that's very much ongoing right now. We're going back and forth with our lab as they continue to do work on it. What I would say is the drone was in his car. As I said, we've been able to, by exploiting the drone, determine, its use and flight paths. There were no pictures or videos on the drone of the day of the rally, for example, but we have been able to reverse engineer the flight path of the drone from the day of the rally, and that's how we know that for about 11 minutes, from I think it's around 3:50 p.m. to 4 p.m., somewhere in that range.
So from 3:50 p.m. to 4 p.m., my man was working the drone. Now, definitely, and because I'm not sure, I can't remember the exact time when Trump gave the speech and everything, but we definitely know that whether Trump was giving his speech or not, we definitely know Trump supporters was out there. We definitely know that. We definitely know whether Trump was giving his speeches or not. We definitely know law enforcement were there. Secret Service agents were there. So now you have the witnesses stating that they seen my man up there, right? They getting the Secret Service's attention, pointing to the shooter up on the building. And now it comes out that for 11 minutes, my man, the shooter, was working the drone. Tone Loke says it was set up. Try not to use profanity, Tone Loke. Try not to use profanity. Bird Doug says a lot of FBI agents in the crowds. Exactly. Positive says, Elizabeth, it should be at the top right. Jay says, don't leave the lie. Okay, double tap screen. So we definitely know somebody set this up. Somebody set this up. The $1 million question is, was Trump behind it? Kitty Kit says, please read this. It's the devil against God's people. He's after us because we know not to sell our souls to the devil. Sam says, you could tell there's a few people in the crowd that knew it was going down. Jennifer says, my screen has a thumb up. Appreciate the likes, y'all. Polly Pocket said, the Dems. Come on now. If you can't see that this is a play, but the $1 million question comes back. It was Trump behind it. I'm still not convinced that Trump was behind it. Drop a one. Drop a one. I know we got a whole lot of new people in the chat. Drop a one if you think Trump was behind this. Drop a two if you think he wasn't. Kitty Kit says, yes, they set it up. I mean, I'm just not convinced that Trump had any involvement in this. Jay dropped the 2. Positive dropped the 1. Zone Deep dropped the 2. Kevin from Cali dropped the 2. Kitty Kit says, no way. Tony Loke says, Secret Service was behind it all. I think so, Tone. I think so, Tony. Mel dropped the 1. I mean, because they definitely was slipping on a pimping. They did Trump the same way they did Obama when Obama was in the White House. Simone says it was fake. Coley, Baltimore King dropped the 2. Jeffrey says, dude was a lone wolf. Just look at him. Could a lone wolf at 20 years old? Now, correct me if I'm wrong or help me understand. Could a lone wolf at 20 years old pull that off? What are y'all thoughts on that? Could a lone wolf at 20 years old, could a 20-year-old pull that off? I guess maybe if Trump would have went a little to the left, a little to the right, he might have took Trump out. He might have took Trump out. He was that close to taking him out. Let's go back for some more, y'all.
assassination attempt on former President Trump during his testimony on Capitol Hill yesterday. Ray admitted that the gunman was not on the FBI's radar before the shooting. He also said that the gunman had been researching the JFK assassination earlier in the day and then flew a drone near the rally site 2 hours before he shot former President Trump. Last night, the House voted unanimously to create a bipartisan task force to investigate the assassination attempt. And today, the new acting director of the Secret Service is scheduled to testify before 3 Senate committees after former Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle resigned on Tuesday. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer putting out this statement. The Oversight Committee's hearing resulted in Director Cheatle's resignation, and there will be more accountability to come. While Director Cheatle's resignation is a step toward accountability, we need a full review of how these security failures happened so that we can prevent them going forward. Joining me now is the man himself, Kentucky Congressman and the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, James Comer. Mr. Chairman, thanks very much for being here this morning.
Good morning, Maria.
What is the most stunning takeaways from your investigation into that epic security failure in an assassination of the former president?
Well, first of all, that it even happened, that a shooter was allowed on the roof, that people saw the shooter climbing on the roof, that people were alerting the local authorities that...
I mean, you can't make this up. Appreciate the new membership, Leslie. Appreciate the new membership, Leslie. I mean, you can't make it up.
Well, first of all, that it even happened, that a shooter was allowed on the roof, that people saw the shooter climbing on the roof, that people were alerting the local authorities that a person with a gun was crawling on the roof, and yet nothing was done about it. And this shooter was allowed 8 shots before he was terminated. But secondly, it was the fact that when I subpoenaed Director Cheatle, she had an opportunity to prepare for that hearing for 6 days. It was 9 days after the shooting, and yet she did nothing to instill confidence into anyone in America that that problem was resolved, that it wouldn't happen again. I mean, I think Americans who watched that hearing concluded that they have less confidence in the Secret Service after Director Cheatle's testimony than they did prior to her testimony.
There was another investigation underway in the Senate. Ron Johnson joined me on Sunday and was surprised that a person from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms went up to the roof, and the photos of the dead gunman were sent to ATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Is that customary that ATF would be involved?
No, it's not customary, and one of the members of our committee asked Director Cheatle that exact question, why was an ATF agent on the roof, and she acted like she didn't know anything about it. And, Maria, she may not have known anything about it. It goes back to the age-old question we've had over the past 3 years of every agency in the Biden administration, who's actually calling the shots. We know Joe Biden hasn't been calling the shots from the White House.
Now, let me say this, y'all. I'm not a Trump supporter, but I'm not against Trump. I still stand 10 toes down as of right now as far as voting for Trump. Regardless of what, no matter how you may feel about the man, I don't believe that it was right for them to try to assassinate this man. If this man becomes the next president, and if he wins fair and square, then, hey, man, who are we? We got to stop being sore losers. Just because you might not like a person, that don't mean for you to shortchange their success. If y'all understand what I'm saying.
And I didn't leave with the impression that Kimberly Cheatle knew a whole lot about what was going on in the Secret Service, and that's a problem. And I say that, Maria, because we've spoken with several whistleblowers, several people from the Secret Service who have come forward to talk to us, my staff, myself, members of the committee, as well as former Secret Service agents. And they all say the same thing. There's a lack of training. There's a lack of confidence in leadership, that people are promoted over the last 3 years because of things like race and gender as opposed to merit. And that's a problem. That's a problem with the Secret Service. It's a problem with a lot of agencies in the Biden administration.
The other issue that came out of the Senate investigation was that the Secret Service did not attend the security briefing on the day of the attack, and they weren't there at 9 a.m. when the locals were meeting, and that was according to the briefing provided by the local SWAT and sniper teams. So was this just incompetence, or was this something more?
I think it's incompetence, and I think it's been building. I think this incompetence has been building for the last 3 years. We don't believe the Secret Service has been properly training their staff. We don't believe that the Secret Service has the right type of communication protocol. They're depending too much on local law enforcement, but then they're not communicating with local law enforcement. We asked for the transcript of communication between local law enforcement and the Secret Service because they tipped off local law enforcement the shooter was on the roof. I wonder if the Secret Service even knew that. They have refused to turn over the transcript. I think this new commission will subpoena that transcript on day one.
So basically, they wasn't on the same page. Wow. I'm coming to the chat, y'all. Give me a minute. I'm going to come down to the chat.
Let me move on to the address last night, Mr. Chairman, because President Biden did not mention his health at all while addressing the decision to drop out of the race last night. The White House is insisting that his health has nothing to do with the decision to drop out of the 2024 race. FBI Director Christopher Wray was asked if he's ever witnessed Biden's decline in meetings with the president during his testimony yesterday. Here's what he said.
In my interactions, in my role, all my interactions with the current president have been completely professional. I have briefed the president, and as I said, those briefings have all been uneventful and unremarkable.
Wow. Salute Nola. Wow. Let me see what the chat talking about. Wow. Jeffrey says was a huge mess up. Jeffrey said, can you travel? Those SS were untrained. Those Secret Service were untrained. Women doesn't even know how to holster a gun. Salute Nola. I can't pronounce your name. Easy. They're wearing so much makeup or so filtered last night. It's not funny. I seen 20-year-olds that don't have that smooth skin. Carly Baltimore King. Where all my people from Baltimore at? Where Baltimore at? The cover-up socks on so much levels. The cover-up sucks on so much levels. Yeah, Coley. Yeah. Sam says, man, was Pepsi. Yeah. I mean, come on. You know, it's like, and as I stated before, if Mel says Shank just think 8 shots, right? How he lick off 8 shots? I mean, first of all, how he make it up there? Then how was he able to play with this drone for 11 minutes? Then how did he lick off 8 shots? I mean, any and everybody know 8 shots and law enforcement is heavily around and he was able to lick off 8 shots. He's a Biden. He has Biden with wearing so much makeup. Biden says something about a target on Trump. Jeffrey says cop was scared of. Cop climbed the roof. The guy said they told him not to take the shot. All fake. They let you know ahead of time and left. I mean, we're going to have to dig a little deeper, y'all, because I still don't think Trump was behind it, but just maybe Trump was behind this. You know? Now, the Secret Services, I say I can't. Y'all gonna have to. Why nobody asks for medical records? The fact that they don't want to show them tells me everything I need to know. Cop climbed the building and the guy pointed the AR at him. So Cop jumped down. The dude shot Trump. Kitty says, no way. Jeffrey says Secret Service dropped the ball. Secret Service dropped the ball. Ain't no way getting around that, Jeffrey. You absolutely right. Secret Service dropped the ball. I mean, local law enforcements don't even move like that. Salute, Trelane. Appreciate you for pulling up, Trelane. Jeffrey says, not matter what, Secret Service dropped the ball. Coley from Baltimore says, we should collaborate on this one day, bruh. I have something. Hit me up on Instagram. Hit me up on Instagram. My Instagram is ShankRock1218. Hit me up on Instagram, Coley. Secret Service shouldn't rely on local law. Hackman, salute Hackman. Hackman says, did you see the lady that was behind Trump with the shades on recording with her phone? Sam says, Kennedy assassination had a signal person with umbrella. Trump had one with woman sitting behind him in black hat with white sign signaling shooter, smirks, white woman, shots come, pulls out camera phones. Polly Pocket says, so will she be terminated? Jeff says, Secret Service should not rely on local ever. 1218, Shank Rock 1218. Shank Rock 1218 is my Instagram handle. Shank Rock 1218. Trelane says, Jeffrey, I was just about to type that. When the cop went on the roof and the sniper pointed the gun at him, he went back to the ground. Why did they allow Trump to go on stage? This is deep. Facts. Like facts. Sam says Trump needs own security. I mean, and that's for me. That's for me, y'all. And y'all still think Trump is behind it. See, I don't think Trump is behind it. I don't. Now we can point the finger at Trump for a lot of things. But not this one. I don't think this one. Shalom, Hackman. Shalom, Hackman. Shalom, Hackman. Kitty says, I'm trying so hard to get out of what I know. So happy I never knew. Can I send you Shank Rock? Yeah, send it to my Instagram. If y'all want to send me anything, send it to my Instagram. My Instagram is ShankRock1218. If y'all need to send me any information or any opinions or whatever, send it to my Instagram, ShankRock1218. Positive says Shank's head working overtime to read these comments. Yeah, it is. Y'all gonna have to start getting some super chats because I'm getting ready to get away from the comment section, y'all. Jeffrey says, I think he was on stage at that time, but he should have jumped on him then. Got you, bro. Salute CM Golf. Salute CM Golf. John says, the lady was not holding a sign. Stop spreading false information. She has a lawyer and will sue you. Kitty Kit says, I had video. I knew this was coming. Salute 80s, baby. Salute 80s, baby. Appreciate you for pulling up. Let's go back to some more, y'all. Then I'm going to come back. Let's go back to some more. We got over 500 watching with 99 likes. Come on, y'all. Get my likes up. Hit the like button.
Yeah, you know that, right? He was in front of Congress today, and one of the great congressmen asked him a question. Have you ever noticed in all your meetings with Biden that he's cognitively a degenerate? And he said, no, I never noticed that. Anybody that says that, you know they're not telling the truth. I didn't notice he couldn't stand up. I didn't notice he can't walk, and I didn't notice he can't think and he couldn't talk. Other than that, he's doing quite well.
Congressman, what do you think? Should Ray resign?
I've always said Ray should resign long before he answered that question in Judiciary Committee yesterday. Look, if Christopher Wray is head of the FBI and he was telling the...
Drop a 1 if y'all think Christopher Wray should resign. Drop a 2 if y'all think it was just a mistake and he should not resign. I'm going to drop a 1. I think he should resign. Drop a 1 if y'all think Christopher Wray should resign. Drop a 2 if y'all think it was just a mistake and, you know, mistakes happen and he should just hang around. Appreciate that, Trelane. Appreciate that, Trelane and Nola. Appreciate the super chats.
Truth that he didn't notice anything wrong with Joe Biden, then he's not much of an investigator, and he shouldn't be leading our chief investigative agency in America. But more than likely, he was lying to Congress. I don't think that's the first time I've had to deal with Christopher Wray over the past year and a half and deal with his obstruction and the dirty tricks that the FBI has played all along the way in our investigation. So I don't have a lot of confidence in Christopher Wray. But look, last night, Joe Biden was pushed out. He was pushed out because he has poor health. He didn't mention his health last night. So the question remains, okay, Mr. President, if it's not your health and you resigned because you wanted to pass the torch to the next generation, then you have failed in democracy here, because democracy is about people having input in who their candidate is. And if he was telling the truth, which we know he wasn't, Maria, this president has issues telling the truth.
I like what Sabrina says, y'all. I like what Sabrina says. Sabrina says, if this was a professional hit, Trump would be gone. I think it was a play hit. You right about that. It definitely wasn't a professional hit, in my opinion. What do y'all think about what Sabrina says?
But the fact that he's like, it tries to imply that he didn't drop out because of health, that's even worse. That is a huge slap in the face of democracy to essentially close the nominating process and handpick your...
Appreciate that super chat, Coley Baltimore King. Appreciate that super chat, Baltimore King.
successor.
Yeah.
So either way, either Joe Biden wasn't able to serve, which I think is true, and he was pushed out, or they just slapped democracy in the face and handpicked their successor in a smoke-filled room.
But do you believe that he was promised anything if he were to step down? Because we know that the number of Democrats wanting him to drop out of the race was all the way up to 35 Democrats telling him he needs to step out because he's not going to be able to beat Trump. Did they promise him something? Miranda Devine has been on this program recently. I spoke with her also on Sunday, and she says they must have promised him either a pardon, that he could pardon his son, or money or something. Because you've been investigating this impeachment inquiry of President Biden. I want to know where that stands now that he's dropped out of the race. You sent a letter to the president back in March of 2024, and you write, the committee has accounted for more than $24 million that has flown from foreign sources to you, your family, and their business.
Dangerous, radical, outside the mainstream. Classic Washington.
Damn commercials. Salute, Miss Parker. Salute, Miss Parker. Appreciate you for pulling up. Salute, Miss Parker. I'm still stuck on if the law enforcement, secret services, local authorities, they were in that building. They were in and out of that building. They were around that building. How did my man make it up on that roof? Then for 11 minutes, we heard the FBI, he said they found out for 11 minutes the shooter was flying the drone around for 11 minutes, y'all. Also, the shooter was able to lick off 8 shots. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. Trump gets grazed in the ear. Biden steps down. Kamala is running now. I see you, Courtney. So I have to come back to Trump, because any and everybody that know me and they know how I feel. With Trump, you have the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, when it's bad, I'm quick to call Trump out. When it's the ugly, I'm quick to call Trump out. However, when it's good, I have to acknowledge that. I still don't believe Trump was behind this. Now, Somebody in his circle, strong possibility, because it had to be an inside job. My man, the shooter, couldn't pull this off being a loner. And for everybody that goes that way, I have to disagree with y'all. I don't think the shooter acted alone. And I don't think the shooter acted alone, and I don't think Trump was behind it. If Trump was behind it, he definitely wouldn't have took a shot to the ear. How many of y'all feel like I feel? Drop a one if you agree with me. Drop a 2 if you disagree, but please share with me why you disagree. Mel says, if it was you, would you move with caution? Nancy says 1. Yeah, I will move with caution. Come on, bro, keep it going. Runway says Kamala Harris is not black at all, but they keep referring to her as. Positive Vibes dropped a 2. Baltimore King dropped a 1. Sheldon dropped a 1. Bird Dog dropped a 1. Hackman, Trump was blindsided. I think so. My man Seth dropped a 1. John, so I guess the dead father is fake too. Cookie Monster, no way Trump would do that. Leslie dropped the 1. Kitty says, I'm going to move on. My head is so fast, I can't scream loud enough to tell y'all Trump is not behind this. Trelane, Wanda, and Jay dropped the 1. Mel says he was playing golf in less than 24 hours. Now, I question that. Why, after this incident, why would he be on the golf course playing golf? But then, hey, he got to keep it moving. Cookie Monster says, if Kamala is black, I'm Shaka Zulu. I done already explained to y'all. Kamala Harris is black. She's black. Now, is she 100 black? No. That's another demonstration. When Kamala Harris, if she fills out an application, she's going to fill out that application. And on that application, she's going to mark colored. But that's another demonstration. And I don't want to get sidetracked. It's something that I wanted y'all to check out. Give me a minute. I hope I ain't lose it. I'm white and ginger, by the way, not that it matters. December 18th. I'm coming, y'all. Trump is showing strength in a time of pain. Tell them because they won't believe me. Mel says, if you had one itty bitty drop of Negro blood, you a Negro. That's law. Just one drop. If you got that much of Negro in you, and you got about that much black in you, you're black. All right. We're gonna check out this, y'all. We're gonna dive a little deeper. We're going to dive a little deeper. All right, let's dive a little deeper, y'all. Seven new details about Donald Trump's would-be assassination. Thomas, let's go. I see you, Courtney.
He was just quiet, never noticed anything off. I mean, he was just a normal kid to me, walking around the neighborhood. I mean, he was just a bit odd, that's all.
Thomas Crooks, the 20-year-old man who tried to shoot and kill former President Trump, was described as a loner. Now a new report says he actually flew a drone over the rally where he tried to assassinate the former president.
They see something that said, take a look what happened.
What do y'all think? What are y'all thoughts? Let me backtrack. What are y'all thoughts?
Thomas Crooks, the 20-year-old man who tried to shoot and kill former President Trump, was described as a loner. Now a new report says he actually flew a drone over the rally where he tried to assassinate the former president.
They see something that said, take a look what happened.
I look at 7 new details about the man who tried to go down in history as an assassin. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy.
Before we get back into it, drop a 1. I gotta get my charger, y'all. Drop a 1. If y'all still think Trump is behind it. Drop a 1 if y'all still think Trump is behind it. Drop a 2 if y'all think he's not.
In more than a week since a 20-year-old man climbed on top of a building in Butler, Pennsylvania with an AR-15 and a rangefinder and fired several shots at former President Trump. Sadly, firefighter Corey Comparator was killed as he shielded his wife and daughter from...
Throw some prayer hands up for the firefighter that lost his life. Throw some prayer hands up for the firefighter that lost his life, man. Throw some prayer hands up.
The gunfire. 2 other men were wounded and remain in the hospital. Former President Trump was grazed in the ear and survived. Snipers shot and killed Crooks, who was seen on the roof of the building well before he fired those shots. There are reports it was as long as 19 minutes before. Immediately, the question was asked, who is this man who tried to kill a former president, a candidate for the highest office in the land, and why? And how was he allowed on the roof of the building? How was that roof left unguarded? President Trump discussed that unguarded roof in an interview with Fox News' Jesse Waters.
Mistakes were made. They were monitoring this guy for an hour beforehand. No one told you not to take the stage?
No, nobody mentioned it. Nobody said there was a problem. And I would have waited for 15. They could have said, let's wait for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 5 minutes, something. Nobody said, I think that was a mistake. How did somebody get on that roof, and why wasn't he reported? Because people saw that he was on the roof.
That's facts. That's facts. People saw that he was on the roof. That's facts.
And you had truckers screaming. The woman in the red shirt. She was screaming, and then a man on the roof, and then other people said, there's a man on the roof who's got a gun. And that was quite a bit before I walked onto the stage. So you would have thought...
So Trump said, they were saying that before he even hit the stage. Are y'all following? Trump said that it was known about him before he even hit the stage. So why was he allowed to go out on that stage?
But somebody would have done something about it.
I also spoke to a former sniper who's been on a detail for then Vice President Biden about that roof being left open. Jimmy, since you've been on this detail before, do you feel that there should have been snipers on that roof where Crooks was?
Yeah, the fact that that building wasn't secured to a point where someone could crawl on top of it, that makes no sense to me. The facility where I did it, we were also at an airport, and every building had either a deputy or a Secret Service when I was there, and this was for Vice President Biden at the time.
Because if it was Biden, if it was Kamala Harris, regardless of who it was that almost lost their life, I still would have some compassion for it. Nobody, and I'll say it again, nobody deserves to have their life taken from them because of what they believe in? Nobody.
Everything else was secured by local law enforcement. But we had every building had a deputy standing there, ready to secure the area, ready to respond. The fact that this guy was able to climb a roof, that is a total failure in my eyes.
There are just so many questions that remain more than a week later. Briefings from the FBI would later reveal that there was no apparent motive being ascribed to Crooks. He was registered as a Republican but had donated to a progressive cause. He didn't appear to have an allegiance to either political party, and it would later come to light that he had photos of former President Trump on his phone, but he also had photos of Joe Biden, House Speaker Mike Johnson, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis, and even Attorney General Merrick Garland. It's also been reported that Crooks searched for the Republican National Convention and the Democratic National Convention. Crooks had registered for the Trump rally, and in a stunning development reported by the Wall Street Journal, Crooks actually flew a drone over the rally site hours before Mr. Trump took the stage at the Butler Farm Showgrounds. The website reported that Crooks flew the drone more than once as he researched the event. That is stunning. Typically, the airspace above an event involving a high-ranking dignitary would be kept clear of anything like that. And if anyone should have had a drone in the air, it should have been local law enforcement or the Secret Service. The security failure.
And that's facts. That's facts.
Was the subject of a House oversight hearing on Capitol Hill, where Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle faced a tough grilling over her agency's handling or mishandling of security at the event.
Assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump on July 13th is the most significant operational failure of the Secret Service in decades, and I am keeping him and his family in my thoughts.
Was this a colossal failure?
It was a failure.
Yes or no? Was it a colossal failure is the question. Yes or no?
I have admitted this is a terrible...
This is a yes or no series of questions. Was this a colossal failure?
So that's 2 times. That's 2 times that the Secret Service has came up short. Remember when Obama was in the White House? Remember when Obama was the president? Secret Services, they were tricking off with the prostitutes. They were letting people get in the White House. And now a former president almost lost his life due to the negligence of the Secret Services. Way to go, Secret Services.
Yes or no?
Yes.
You say leaking your opening statement to Punchbowl News, Politico's Playbook, and Washington Post several hours before you sent it to this committee as being political. Yes or no?
I have no idea how my statement got out.
Well, that's bull.
The New York Times reported that Crooks had actually asked his bosses at the nursing home where he worked to have Saturday, July 13th off because he told them he had something important to do after...
Wow, let's backtrack. Wow.
I have no idea how my statement got out.
Well, that's bull.
The New York Times reported that Crooks had actually asked his bosses at the nursing home where he worked to have Saturday, July 13th off because he told them he had something important to do. After Crooks had scoped out the location of the rally, he returned to the site with his father's gun and homemade bombs that could be set off using a remote control. Crooks's parents had contacted police in the hours before the shooting. A briefing by the FBI to lawmakers revealed that Crooks had searched for major depressive disorder online, but possibly had never been diagnosed. The Daily Beast reported that before Crooks fired the shots, his last online search was for pornography. Experts say that's not unusual among people who carry out mass shootings. I'll have more on that later on. Those who knew Crooks from school or his neighborhood say he kept to himself.
Wow. And most of the times, those are the type of people that commit these crimes. Loners, people that grow up, don't really have too many friends. Salute 10 Mil. I see you, 10 Mil. Strategically, They also have someone visiting his home, the shooter, with an FBI cell phone, then pinging by the Secret Service field office in D.C. It's no way in the world that this attempt on Trump's life should have took place. It's no way. And as Sabrina said earlier, you could tell that it wasn't a professional hit. Now, let me ask the question again. Do y'all still think Trump was behind this play? Drop a 1. Drop a 1 if you still believe Trump was behind this assassination attempt. Drop a 2 if you think he wasn't. I gotta drop a 2. I don't think he was behind it. Randall says all of the sudden. Sandra said, wow. Charlie K says 2. Johnny Trump rolled with like a WWE script. Nancy 2. We got some 2s. I just don't see it. Yes, there's some things that I could call out, Trump. Not this, though. He ain't going through all of that. He ain't going through. Now maybe if the shooter would have licked off in the air, yeah. But you don't run a play and it involves you of taking a bullet to any parts of your body. I don't care help me out. A trained shooter for 30 years. You're not even going to take that chance of someone shooting you. No one is going to do that. I put some money on that. The craziest of craziest persons that's out here wouldn't do that. Because why would Trump set it up for him to get hit? Just think. Well, Shank, it was an earshot. Yeah, you know how close the head is to the ear. The ear is connected. So why would he take that chance? Like I said, now we can point the finger at Trump and we could give him a lot of charges. Y'all do know he got hit with 34 counts. We could get him with some charges, but not this one. Not this one. Him staging that. No. He ain't gonna go out like that.
So it was just kind of odd. He was an odd kid, but I didn't have any issues with him or anything.
There have been a lot of reports that Crooks was bullied, but a Fox News Digital story said those claims are not true. Quoting a former student at Bethel Park High School who told the site, quote, "He didn't talk a lot, but when he was talked to, he would make good conversation. He was easy to talk to. He would make good conversation. He was very chill, very humble."
And let me say this, y'all. Let me say this. Because the shooter could have been any one of our sons. The shooter could have been any one of our grandsons. The shooter could have been any one of our relatives. We have to start to pay more attention to our friends, our children, our loved ones. Not to say that this could have been prevented, but we've been dealing with cases like this for as long as I can remember. Somebody was bullied when they was young. They grow up and they do unthinkable crimes such as this. So we got to start paying more attention to our kids, our sons, and our daughters. Because this could have been one of our sons.
Fox quoted the former girlfriend as saying Crooks had friends in class and on the bus. The people who knew him didn't have negative experiences with him. It's also been reported that he was studying mechanical engineering and had just completed an associate's degree and was heading to college in the fall. The world is not always a safe place, and when accidents happen, you might need an attorney that's going to fight for you and stand up for your rights. That's why I want to talk to you about Morgan & Morgan, a sponsor of Crime Fix. Morgan & Morgan has more than 1,000 attorneys.
Yeah, I don't want to promote Morgan & Morgan.
Only pay Morgan & Morgan if you...
I'm not going to promote Morgan & Morgan.
The fact that Thomas Crooks was actually able to get a drone up in the air, according to the Wall Street Journal, to survey this area, it's shocking to me because I always thought Secret Service goes in and they kind of shut these areas down, they do an assessment, and they make sure that nobody is doing anything like that. So what are your thoughts on that report?
Well, I think mine are the same. I was a bit shocked that he was able to get a drone. Not that he was able to get a drone. Most 20-year-old young men can operate drones. You know, it's part of the culture now. But the fact that Secret Service didn't have that space locked down hours, if not days, in advance of a former president and now presidential candidate.
Right. Why wasn't it locked down? Did y'all ever wonder that? What do y'all think about that? Why wasn't it locked down? See, it is if it was just a regular Joe Blow, yeah. But we talking about a former president. We're talking about a former president. So why wasn't the area locked down? It's no way in the world that would happen if come on, y'all. Come on. It's nowhere in the world. Jeffrey says, Kay says, actually there was 2 shooters. Jeffrey says, super sad all the way around. Too many lives ruined. Was just a troubled kid who didn't get the help he needed. As a result, he did horrible things and ruined lives. Not justifying it, there is. Hackman says, this day and age, anything is possible. Jeffrey says, and Secret Service dropped the ball. Cookie Monster says, media really wants this to go away. I bet they do, Cookie Monster. Baltimore King says they also had FBI inside that building too. Facts. Nancy DC says somebody didn't care. Bird Doug says because the neutralized the shooter. BOD, they tried to, the M-word. Jen says it was international. They want to make look like negligence and incompetent. Statistically screwed, says Eli Crane's video shank. All right, give me a minute. Mind control. Sonia says, I think it's funny that the laugh doesn't care that they did a coup. Let me see. All right. Eli Crane. All right. I'm not gonna hold y'all that much longer. All right.
Reach new heights with Badland and Roadshot high performance off-road gear. Only at Harbor Freight.
Let's find out. Was there 2 shooters? Because remember at first when it happened, they showed the picture of somebody completely different from Thomas Crooks. So let's find out. Drop a 1. If y'all think it could have been 2 shooters. Drop a 2 if y'all think just 1. Salute, Vino. I see you, Vino. Salute, Vino. Salute, Vino.
Water tower behind me. Had Secret Service or anybody had sniper teams up there, this guy wouldn't have made it 5 feet up this roof. He would have been taken out.
All right, Colonel Paris, did you notice when you showed up on site what the tallest structure on the site was? Who made the decision, Colonel, not to put a counter sniper team on the tallest structure by far on the site with 360-degree surveillance? Do you have any idea?
I do not know, sir.
Okay, we'd like to get that answer. Are you aware, sir, that many Americans believe this was very likely not a lone shooter, but a coordinated assassination attempt? Have you been getting those messages from people like I have?
I have not, sir.
Maybe there's more to this story?
I wouldn't begin to speculate about what the American people think, sir.
Gentleman yields. I now recognize Mr. Crane for 5 minutes of question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like the staff to go ahead and play the video that I took at the site yesterday.
All right, guys, I'm up here on the building where the supposed sniper took a shot.
It's not that steep at all. Just have to 70-year-old man back here climb up on the roof easily.
See that water tower behind me? Had Secret Service or anybody had sniper teams up there, this guy wouldn't have made it 5 feet up this roof. He would have been taken out. Behind me, you see the windows that Secret Service was supposedly in the second floor of this building behind. Makes you wonder why they weren't able to quickly dispatch the individual. And then behind me, back over here where those red roofs are, that's where the
Can you guys cut up right there, please?
president was giving his speech from. Not questions here in Butler.
Got it. Thank you. All right, Colonel Paris, did you notice when you showed up on site what the tallest structure on the site was?
I can't say at the moment that I arrived that I did, no, sir.
Okay. Now that you've had a chance to go back and look over it, what is the tallest structure on that site?
The water towers.
Absolutely. Colonel, do you know how far the water tower was from the roof where the shooter took his shots?
I do not.
160 yards, sir. Who made the decision, Colonel, not to put a counter sniper team on the tallest structure by far on the site with 360-degree surveillance? Do you have any idea?
I do not know, sir.
Okay, we'd like to get that answer. Did you see the video that showed me sticking my phone out the second-story window? Did you see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, exposing the coverage of the window of the entire roof. Are you aware that local law enforcement and Secret Service had full access to that building in that room?
My understanding is that they did.
Yeah. Why weren't security teams, sir, on site able to spot a 20-year-old kid with zero camouflage crawling up a white roof with an AR-15 that several rally goers were screaming and yelling and pointing out, and they noticed him, and they weren't even there to conduct security. They were there to watch the president. Do you have any idea why the security teams couldn't find that guy?
I do not, sir.
Would the gentleman yield for just
Yes,
a second
yes,
on that? So, just for clarification, it was the ESU guys that were manning those buildings?
Yep.
And they left because of the call of the suspicious person, so they left their post there to go look for him. They're the same individuals who attempted to climb up the building and were scared away by the shooter pointing the gun, right?
I would clear my time. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm just wondering why they weren't able to find him, because even while they were looking, they could have still looked out that window that they had access to. All right, Colonel Paris, I'm just going to say it. Are you aware, sir, that many Americans believe this was very likely not a lone shooter, but a coordinated assassination attempt? Have you been getting those messages from people like I have?
I have not, sir.
You haven't? Well, there's a lot of people in this room that have been getting the same messages. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that a lot of Americans are like, this doesn't add up, this doesn't make sense, guys? How could this many things have gone wrong? Right? Like the things I pointed out, a 20-year-old kid, got 150 yards of the President of the United States with an AR-15, flew a drone to conduct site surveillance, was spotted with a rangefinder ranging targets, then lost, had advanced explosive devices on him with no military training. Nobody was placed in the most obvious spot to conduct counter sniper operations. I was a sniper in the SEAL teams, Colonel. As soon as I got out of the SUV and I saw that water tower, I was like, that's exactly where I'd be. Put me right there. So obvious. After partisan attempts to bankrupt him, imprison him for 750 years, and countless depictions as a modern day Hitler. Are you surprised, sir, that a lot of Americans are like, maybe there's more to this story?
Wow. Wow. Wow.
I wouldn't begin to speculate about what the American people think, sir.
Colonel, did your team make entry and conduct investigation at the suspect's home prior to the shooting?
Excuse me, sir, I asked that question.
Did your team make entry and conduct any investigation at the suspect's home?
I believe we had people that participated in that securing of it. There were bomb assets that we provided.
Mr. Chairman, can I have 30 more seconds?
Yeah, I'm letting everybody come in.
Okay.
On the night of. Since then, none.
Did you get any reports from any of your agents of anything fishy at the home?
I was briefed on.
Was there any silverware found in the home or trash?
I have nothing in the briefing that I was given, sir.
Was it extremely clean, almost like a medical lab? Were you given any of those reports?
I wasn't given any of those details, sir.
Okay, that's what I'm hearing. Interesting. The last thing I want to enter into the record, Mr. Chairman, this is article opinion from, I believe, the Washington Post by Robert Kagan. A Trump dictatorship is increasingly inevitable. We should stop pretending. This article compares Trump to Caesar and attempts to justify the assassination of President Trump. And I think even though we want to dodge around it and not make this partisan, I think we all know that a lot of this has to do with the rhetoric, the very violent rhetoric that has led up to this. Thank you. I yield back. All right, guys, I'm up here on the building where the supposed sniper took a shot. It's not that steep at all. Just have to send you back here, climb up on the roof easily. See that water tower behind me? Had Secret Service or anybody had sniper teams up there, this guy wouldn't have made it 5 feet up this roof. He would have been taken out. Behind me, you see the windows that Secret Service was supposedly in the second floor of this building behind. Makes you wonder why they weren't able to.
Once again, y'all. Once again, we know it was a play. We know somebody was behind it. But I'm still not convinced that Trump is behind it. Trump can be called many names. Trump is guilty of some of this. Trump is guilty of some of that. Not this. Not this. Not this. Somebody, somewhere, or some people somewhere don't want Trump to become the next president. Now, things has definitely switched lanes, because before the assassination attempt, Trump was beating Biden by about like this. After the assassination attempt, Trump even went up. I mean, after the assassination attempt, remember, even the Democrats was trying to get Biden to step down. Correct? Even before. But now, when the assassination attempt took place, now what made Biden decide to step down? Was it the attempt? Was it the assassination attempt? And Biden just knew, I'll never beat this guy. Now this guy has got the compassion from the people. I'll never beat this guy. Never. So it's all a play. I'm with y'all. Everybody that says Shank, it's a play. I'm with y'all. It's definitely a play. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. It's interesting. It's interesting. The only part that I don't like is that Trump's life was almost taken from him, and then the firefighter, I forget my man's name, but my man, he lost his life. I'm not all for that when it's running plays, when people's lives and people's freedom is being jeopardized. Salute Willie, salute Miss James. I see y'all, salute Willie. Run a play, but when it comes to jeopardizing people's lives, that's negative. When it comes to jeopardizing people's freedom, that's negative. But the Secret Service is definitely in hot waters because they definitely dropped the ball. I'll ask the question again. Do y'all still believe that Trump is behind this play? Do y'all still believe Trump is behind this play? Like I said, he's guilty of this. He's guilty of that. He makes me laugh. See, he don't know what to say out his mouth sometimes. I'll be cracking up. I'll be like, damn. But this right here, nah. He ain't behind this, y'all. He's not. Now, maybe somebody can prove to me that he is behind it, but no. There's no way in the world he would have took a chance of getting hit in his ear for this. No. He was already winning. That's the cold piece about it. Now, if he wasn't winning, if Biden was here and Trump was here, then you might get me. Then I might be like, you know what? Maybe he did set it up. But remember, Trump was winning. He's been winning. Trump, Biden. So what would be the purpose of him getting popped in the ear? I'm not going to hold y'all that much longer. I got two more. Salute, Shari. I see you, Shari. Salute, Shari. I got two more that I want y'all to hear. I'm not going to hold y'all that much longer. Appreciate that super chat, Martin. Appreciate that super chat, Martin. Martin says the fact they didn't get him off the stage when they were in doubt tells me a lot. They didn't even get him off the stage. And as he said, before he even hit the stage, Martin, they had already knew. So y'all allowed this man to go on stage after knowing that there's somebody up on the roof, and y'all let this man hit the stage. Then y'all rushed him, y'all got him up and rushed him off the stage just like that. See, somebody else could have been still popping. It could have been just more than that one person. So why not keep him down? Why not keep him down? That's a good question. I mean, that's a good point, Martin. I see you, Miss James. I see y'all. Let's go to Kamala, y'all. Ms. Jan says, I still believe someone was on the towel. Let's go to Kamala. Appreciate that super chat, Trelane. Trelane says, Biden stepped down because the rich millionaire donors stopped donating because they knew Biden couldn't win. Money talks. That's a good point, Trelane. That's a good point, Trelane.
And a stark contrast
with Donald Trump. Take a listen. In this election, we each face the question, what kind of country do we want to live in? There are some people who think we should be a country of chaos, of fear, of hate. But us, we choose something different. We choose freedom. The freedom not just to get by, but get ahead. The freedom to be safe from gun violence. The freedom to make decisions about your own body. We choose a future where no child lives in poverty, where we can all afford health care, where no one is above the law. We believe in the promise of America, and we're ready to fight for it. Because when we fight, we win. So join us. It's a fitting coda to President Joe Biden's address to the nation last night, explaining his decision to end his run for a second term and endorse his vice president. Here's a bit of what the president had to say.
I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. It's the best way to unite our nation. You know, there is a time and a place for long years of experience in public life. There's also a time and a place for new voices, fresh voices, yes, younger voices. And that time and place is now.
That time and place is now, he said. Having galvanized the Democratic base and sent the Trump team scrambling in search of something, anything effective with which to attack Kamala Harris, the president's anointed successor, Kamala Harris, has been taking a message grounded in this idea of freedom and a fight for the future and the rule of law to the campaign trail, with 4 events in 4 states in 4 days. Her latest appearance, a speech to the American Federation of Teachers, where she said the ex-president would return America to a dark past. Watch that.
In this moment across our nation, we witness a full-on attack on hard-won, hard-fought freedoms. While you teach students about democracy and representative government, extremists attack the sacred freedom to vote. While you try to create safe and welcoming places where our children can learn, extremists attack our freedom to live safe from gun violence. They have the nerve to tell teachers to strap on a gun in the classroom, while they refuse to pass common sense gun safety laws. And while you teach students about our nation's past, these extremists attack the freedom to learn and acknowledge our nation's true and full history, including book bans. Book bans in this year of our Lord 2024. And on these last two issues, just think about it. So we want to ban assault weapons, and they want to ban books. Can you imagine? In this moment, we are in a fight for our most fundamental freedoms. And to this room of leaders, I say, bring it on. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Ever wonder why they should get an LLC with a...
All I'm going to say is this next presidential debate between Trump and Kamala, I'll say it again, it's going to be a lion and a tiger locked in a cage. And you just don't know who's going to come out on top. I'm glad that Kamala is running against Trump. I think that the debate, I think it's going to be interesting. I think Trump, he has some kryptonite for Kamala. I think Kamala has some kryptonite for Trump. It's going to be a tug of war. It's going to be a tug of war. And I'll say it again. For me, if Trump still indicates at this presidential debate, if Trump says that he's going to do for Black Americans, if they ask Kamala the question again, what are you going to do for Black Americans? And if this is going to be my decision breaker, if Trump says he's going to do for Black Americans, and if Kamala says she ain't going to do nothing for Black Americans, I'm voting for Trump. Did you hear me? Did you hear me? I want y'all to hear me loud and clearly. If at this presidential debate, if Trump says he's going to do for Black Americans, and if Kamala says she's not doing nothing for Black Americans, I'm voting for Trump. And y'all can call me all the Sambos, the sellouts, the Uncle Toms. Y'all can call me the devil's son-in-law. Y'all can call me whatever y'all want to call me. Because when I first started this journey on casting my vote for the first time, I started on TikTok. When y'all get a chance, go to my TikTok. I'm on TikTok, Shank Rock. And go to my TikTok demonstration. And I asked the question. I said, this is my first time voting. Who should I vote for? Should I vote Democrat? Should I vote Republican? Both Democrats and Republicans said the same thing to me. They both said, whoever you choose to vote for, make sure they have your best interest. I'm a Black man. Hey, I can't speak for other Black men. I can't speak for Black women. I can't speak for white men, white women, immigrants. I can't speak for nobody but myself. I'm a Black man. And whoever is getting my vote is going to be that person that has something for me. Hey, if you got a problem with that, see ya. And I wouldn't want to be ya. It's my vote. So that's the direction that I'm going with this. Baltimore King says, if people think Trump is racist, then look back into his old interviews when he shared his opinion on our culture. Bert Doug says, did you see the video of Trump was in a motorcade and he was flagged down by a Black man? Trump got out of the car and sang with them. I seen Trump, Alexia says, agree with you on this. Alexa, my bad if I mess your name up. Mel says Trump can get in office and hand out $1,500 and call it reparations. Then what? Because that's 1 month rent. Now he got to give me more than $1,500, Mel. I went to the rally and I wanted to go to this rally that he done here in Charlotte, North Carolina yesterday, but I just couldn't get off. But I'm looking for meeting Trump, and I'm not going to stop until I meet Trump. In fact, I'm looking to meet Kamala also. Appreciate the super chat, Martin. Martin says, Trump doesn't see color as much as Kamala, in my opinion. Right. How can I say this? How can I say this? See, let's backtrack, y'all. Let's backtrack. I'm not going to hold y'all that much longer. I'm going to go to one more clip. But let's backtrack. Remember, for all my hip-hop fans, for everybody that grew up on hip-hop back in the 80s and in the 90s, drop a 1 if you're a hip-hop fan and if you grew up on hip-hop back in the 80s and 90s. All right? Drop a 1. Remember the rappers? Wu-Tang Clan. Remember the rappers was always rapping about being the next black Donald Trump. Now, before he became president, why was most people wanting Trump to be the president? Because we knew Trump was a businessman. I can't say whether he was the best businessman or the worst businessman, but we knew Trump, businessman, Trump gonna get in there, Trump gonna run the country like a business. Correct? Correct? Now, when he get in office, what happened? And I'll let y'all tell me what happened. What happened from when, before Trump became president, black people was pumping their black fist. Y'all white people was pumping y'all white fist too. And the immigrants. So don't think it was just a black thing, because everybody was for Trump. Everybody was for Trump because Trump was bringing in a business perspective. What happened when he got in there? I'll let y'all tell me in the chat. What happened when he got in there? I think we all know what happened when he got in there. But I'll let y'all tell me what y'all think happened to Trump when he got in there that made most people turn against Trump. Trump racist. We got to get him out of there. But we wasn't saying that before he got in there. So why did things change when he got in there? Let me know in the chat, y'all.
Third party when you can do it all by yourself? Yeah, of course. Those companies want to.
Joe Biden officially passing the torch to Vice President Kamala Harris in a campaign that sees the presidential election as a battle for freedom, and the future is where we start today. Former U.S. Senator, host of MSNBC's How to Win 2024 podcast, Claire McCaskill is back. Also joining us, MSNBC contributor and columnist Charlie Sykes is here, an MSNBC political analyst and senior opinion writer and columnist for the Boston Globe. Kim Atkins-Storr is also back. Claire, she has grabbed these two pillars in terms of branding these early days of her candidacy, and they are freedom and future. She is, I think, the most disciplined candidate I've ever watched. She's got her crowds chanting spontaneously, "We won't go back."
Appreciate that super chat, William. Appreciate that super chat. William says, I initially voted for me, but he was too volatile, so I switched my vote to Joe. I guess he said Trump. I initially voted for him, but he was too volatile, so I switched my vote to Joe Biden. Appreciate that, Will. Appreciate that, Will.
This is a stellar start.
Mike says he showed a different side. He pandered to the racist side of the Republican side.
Yes, to say she was ready is an understatement. I think people for way too long, and we've talked about this before, for way too long, undermined Kamala Harris in ways I never really quite understood. As somebody who knows her well and worked alongside of her in the United States Senate, and frankly, one of the things I find most fun about this is the struggle the Republicans are having. The things they are pointing out as negatives, the online community is taking and turning into a positive, like laughter. I think our country is ready for joy instead of grievance. We are ready for lightness instead of dark. We are ready for all of the things she's bringing to this campaign. And you're right, this organic chant, I don't think many people remember that, all fired up, ready to go was organic. That happened organically in the Obama campaign. I was fascinated by "We Won't Go Back," which happened organically in her first speech as a candidate. I predict "We Won't Go Back" will in fact be the chant that sticks around from now until the first Tuesday in November.
Charlie Sykes, let me show you some more of her just hammering this future versus past message. This is, again, from her speech today.
Today, we face a choice between two very different visions for our nation. One focused on the future, and the other focused on the past. And we are fighting for the future. And in our vision of the future, we see a place where every person has the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead. A future where no child has to grow up in poverty, where every senior can retire with dignity.
Pretty clear what this campaign's about.
No, it's really dramatic. You know, look, this is going to be a tough campaign. She's still got a lot of headwinds here, but I've been thinking all day long where we were 1 week ago, right now, sitting in Milwaukee, what the mood was, what the mood among Republicans was, and what the mood among Democrats was. And it feels like the entire political world has been turned on its head, because what you're seeing is the shift of the entire focus of this race to this, what kind of a future are we going to have, in a way that, frankly, Joe Biden wasn't going to be able to do that. He wasn't going to bring that energy. You weren't going to see this kind of enthusiasm. And this passing of the torch has been close to seamless, which, again, was not necessarily inevitable a week ago. So a week ago, we were thinking, like, what is this election going to be like? Could it be like a 1980 Republican blowout? Today, and I don't think there's any precedent for the kind of, quick start enthusiasm that we're seeing right now. But think about the election in 1960, John F. Kennedy. Think about 1992, Bill Clinton talking about change. Think about 2008, when Barack Obama was the voice of change. And this feels far more like that now than at any time in this campaign. So the campaign that we were all sort of girding for and dreading has now been utterly and completely transformed. And I'm not downplaying the challenges and what the Republicans will do to try to define Kamala Harris. But the fact that, and don't also sleep on the fact that she's given 4 big speeches in 4 days. The energy that she's bringing to this and the organic enthusiasm, I'm always trying to balance out what's hype and what's real. This is pretty extraordinary what you're seeing on the ground and in social media.
Yeah, no, it's all very real. I think there has been a hunger since 2016 to see the fight brought to Donald Trump in exactly this manner. To move, as Judge Esther Salas, her mantra is love is light, to move into the light and have the fight there is exactly where the fight needs to be waged.
Wow. Wow. Appreciate that super chat, Baltimore King. Remember, my family, we are all shades of wheat. And that's what we need to focus on. Like, at the end of the day, if this country was to get attacked, we all would be in a fight for our lives, and we all would be helping each other. Life with the Jones family says, I definitely don't want a woman president. A lot of women feel that way. If you are a woman, do you feel like life with the Jones family? Drop a 1 if you feel like life with the Jones family, if you don't want no woman being the president. If you are a woman, drop a 1 if you don't want a woman to be the president. A lot of females feel like that. Bolden 3 says, the sky is not blue. The cone cells in our eyes that detect color are not very sensitive to violet, so we perceive the sky as blue. Nancy DC dropped the 1. Kim, salute. Kim says, that's what got us in trouble, being nice and accepting everyone. Lisette dropped the 1. Dennis says now they're trying to build her up. G. Cox dropped the 1. William says women are capable. Leslie dropped the 1. Like I said, a lot of females feel that way. A lot of females like Shank. I don't want no woman leading me. I don't want no woman being my president. Some women feels as though because women are emotional creatures, women will be in their feelings. A woman as a president will be in her feelings. Ray says Trump is emotional just like women. How many of y'all feel like Ray feel? How many of y'all feel that Trump is emotional just like a woman? Kim says, I don't mind a woman president. G. Cox says, hormone changes, I think, are much more drastic in women. I'm a woman, but I like a man to lead this country. Life with the Jones says, very much so. Appreciate that super chat, Martin. She couldn't get 1% in the 2020 primaries. Your first problem is watching MSNBC. Martin says, I have found men trust women more than women. Ms. Jam says, I'm ready for a change. I'm voting for a woman, not the forever entitled good old boys country club. Baltimore King says, Trump just speaks truth. Mel says, 5,400 show up on a Zoom fundraiser for Kamala. Shout out to 5,400. Cookie Monster says, Ray's wrong. Michael Armstrong says, Trump is very emotional. Yeah, I seen that all those women showed up on a Zoom with Kamala. I seen that. Lisette says he's vocal like a woman. Cookie Monster, Trump is very calculated. But one thing about Trump, one thing I could say about Trump, William says it's time for a woman. Nancy says Harris didn't and have done anything. Bolden 3 says, can you imagine tens of thousands of women running up the shores of Normandy? One thing I can say about Trump, they knew not to play with Trump. Now, will Kamala get that same kind of respect? Get Ali out of here. Go ahead and block Ali, 80s baby. Block Ali. Salute Snapping Turtle. Salute Snapping Turtle. Snapping Turtle says the Koch family will decide if we have a woman or not. Ms. Jam says God was a woman. God was a woman. God was a woman. And that's true. But that's another demonstration. That's another demonstration, y'all. But yes, God was a woman. God is a woman. But as I stated, they knew not to play with Trump. Now, will Kamala get that same kind of respect if she becomes president? Mel says, no disrespect, but somebody pull up on Trump. James says, Obama 2.0, how many bills been signed for blacks? Kim says, what nationality is God? That's another demonstration, Kim. Baltimore King says, innocent or guilty. But they knew not to play with Trump. William says, yes, she is strong. Was God a man too? Yes. You got 24 scientists. It's in the Bible. It talks about the 24 scientists. That's the elders of God. You got 24. 12 of them are men. 12 of them are women. Go back to the beginning of creation. God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. And then it says God created male and female. Well, he was talking to the 23 scientists. Like I said, it's 24 scientists. It's in the Bible. If you ever wonder what it means when it speaks on the 24 scientists, they make up the body of God. 12 men, 12 women. Remember, let us make man in our image. Who was he talking to? Or who was she talking to? They had to have been talking to others that is equal to God. But that's another demonstration, y'all. Look, I appreciate y'all for pulling up. I really appreciate all my new subscribers. Remember, y'all, this is an open platform. All are welcome. Jews, Muslims, Christians, Catholics, Buddhists, atheists, you are welcome here. Regardless of your nationality, regardless of your sex agenda, regardless of what it is, your opinion and your perspective is welcome here. So never feel like you shouldn't say this or never feel like you shouldn't say that. As long as you're not using profanity, you are welcome to speak your mind. You are welcome to speak your mind as long as there's no profanity. Once again, this is an open platform. Everybody is welcome. In my opinion, the only way that we can get to an understanding and solve most of our problems, we got to be able to communicate with each other. We got to learn to agree to disagree. We got to be able to communicate without calling each other names. Oh, you stupid. Oh, you dumb. No, it's just his or her opinion. It's just his or her perspective. And everybody have a right to feel and believe and think how they want to feel, think, and believe. Salute everybody. I'll see y'all back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Salute everybody.